spoilers for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So we're finally here. We finally got Quantumania, our first look into a completely new universe within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Quantum Realm. And we got Kang. Which is going to be how I start this review for this movie, talking about Kang. Kang is easily the best part of this movie. I was very interested to see him, even before the movie was out. It was after that last episode of Loki, my favorite episode in that show, that sparked my interest into this character. This is a very complex character, or at least they're building him up to be. The performance by Jonathan Majors is terrifying. He really sells this character, and I can't wait to see more from him as another version of this character. It's very much a bigger threat than just one person. It is several millions, trillions, however many versions of a single character who we've seen in 2 Marvel properties so far, and it is quite unnerving. We've gotten He Who Remains in Loki, and now we got Kang the Conqueror himself in Ant-Man and the Wasp, or at least, just another version of Kang. Both versions are very interesting in their own ways, and quite terrifying in their own ways. After that last episode of Loki, I knew, oh yeah, this is guaranteed to be the next big bad guy, even worse than Thanos. And yeah, he just might be. So that's my favorite part of this movie, is Kang. Done. As for the rest of the movie, yeah, it's alright. Look, like with Thor: Love and Thunder, as I said about that movie, this movie, it's just a dumb, fun, good time. Well, while I did like Thor: Love and Thunder, it does have its issues, as this movie. I like this movie too, but I don't know. It's obviously the wackiness of the MCU, from, Guardians of the Galaxy to Ant-Man, particularly, this Ant-Man. It's good to get weird. That is the strong point for the MCU, or at least one of the strong points for the MCU. But the MCU lately, with Thor: Love and Thunder, and now this one, in fact, the biggest similarity between Thor: Love and Thunder and Quantumania is that, the silliness, the dumbness is starting to be too much. To the point where it's like, there's no level-headedness with it. Because, properties like Guardians of the Galaxy, they get weird, but they don't devolve into dumbness. Dumb, immature kind of weird. And I feel like that's kind of where the humor is at with the MCU at this point, especially with, Quantumania. It's just starting to become too much, to the point where it's like, you can't take it seriously at all. And it just becomes simply dumb fun. I mean, I laughed. That's not to say I didn't laugh when I saw Quantumania. Yeah, it's funny, but it's, it just is too much with the wackiness. Now, when it comes to the characters, everybody, all the actors, Paul Rudd, Catherine Newton, Evangeline Lilly, Michael Douglas, Michelle Pfeiffer, they're all pretty good. However, some characters are brushed to the side to focus on other particular characters. Those being, Ant-Man, obviously, his daughter Cassie Lang, Michelle Pfeiffer as Janet Van Dyne, and of course Kang. Michelle Pfeiffer surprisingly has some connection to Kang, has some history. In fact, she's the reason that he became what he is in the quantum realm. This powerful, tyrannical leader, still trying to make his way back onto the main timeline to do his thing, In fact, I picked up on this after seeing Quantumania. It is actually kind of interesting to see the rise of Kang kind of being handed over to him by certain protagonists, or, supporting characters. I mean, you get Sylvie and Loki, who inadvertently freed the timeline and is now gonna kind of helping to unleash the Kangs onto the timeline. And now in this movie, Quantumania, you got Janet Van Dyne, who helped Kang to a certain extent, not knowing that he's not a good dude. But, you know, the characters that didn't get as much focus are, strangely, the Wasp. I mean, she is half the title of the movie, Ant-Man and the Wasp. And yet, the Wasp is not really that important in the story, I guess. Or at least it's what it seemed like. She really wasn't given too much to do in terms of importance to the story. But it gets worse when we get to Hank Pym. He's a major player in the last two Ant-Man movies. I mean, he's the mentor to Scott Lang. And in this movie, he's back here, hey! But I'm glad he at least had a moment to shine in the finale with his super smart advancing ants. Oh man, the weirdness of this movie. The story itself, you know, it's kind of average superhero action kind of story. But I also noticed the runtime. Look, same issue with Love and Thunder and with Multiverse of Madness, really. They need to be longer. The movies need to be longer. You're cutting it down to just under an hour or at an hour. And I knew when I saw the runtime, even before the movie was out, when the runtime was confirmed on the internet, I was like, why is it so short? We need it longer. That's another current MCU weakness. Stop messing around with the editing and deleting stuff that could be kept in there. Please just leave them be. Let the director, writer's visions not be tampered with so much. Please. I'm saying it nicely. Now, in terms of introducing the next big bad, with the start of this new phase, we are officially in phase 5 now. It's a good start when it comes to introducing him. But, oh man, look, I still like the MCU right now, you know, but here, I've been an MCU fan for a good while now. But the thing is, the MCU was not meant to end after Endgame, clearly. And yet somehow the energy when watching some of these movies, it kind of feels like that anyway. It's almost as if they kind of let go of the responsibility of keeping the consistency of this Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm not trying to sound like a jerk here. Look, it feels weird to say that actually because, again, I love the MCU. But yeah, it just feels weird to have to really point out the current weaknesses of it. So, you know, let the directors and, you know, or writer-directors have their vision put on the screen. Because, again, it kind of feels like, you know, Marvel Studios is kind of tampering with some stuff. At least with maybe the editing or what they tell the directors they need to add in the movies. But, you know, let the writer-directors have their thing going. We need longer run times, and keep the humor just right. Not too dumb. But anyway, you know, Ant-Man and the Wasp, I'll give it a 5 out of 10. It's really not the worst thing. But you know, the MCU has been better and should be better than this movie. If somebody asked me if I wanted to see this movie again in theaters, I'll say yeah. It's dumb fun, you know. Oh, by the way, MODOK. Look, that's as good as you're gonna get with MODOK in terms of appearance, okay? I don't know what people are expecting, but people are gonna complain anyway, so whatever. Anyway, I'll see you at the next react.